Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. I am so excited to be back filming again. I hope you guys are all doing great. If you guys are new here, my name is Dana. I am a homeschooling mama to 4 little ones. And here on my channel, I love sharing our homeschooling journey as well as homemaking and simple living and just kind of everything in between. So as you can tell from the title down below, today I'm going to be sharing with you our January recap. How our homeschool has been going, how our life's been going, and just everything in between. I know I did take a whole month off. It's actually been over a month off since I've actually filmed, since my last video you guys saw was pre-filmed. So it has been a while. I feel like I'm a little bit rusty right now for some reason. But yeah, I'm excited to get back into doing some filming and just talk to you guys today about how our January went overall. Another thing I did want to mention is that this video was actually supposed to be a church chat video. As we get into the video, you'll see that life has just been really busy and we just have not had the time or the chance to sit down and film together. Right now, he is still finishing up a rental unit project and we're in like the, I guess you can say, crunch time with being the last couple of weeks of doing that. We'll have more than just like Sunday afternoons together, which will be great. I'm looking forward to having him around more. So for our homeschool year actually started out beautifully, and I am so thankful for that. I know the start of a school year can always be hit or miss depending on kind of what's going on and, you know, working out all those little details when you start a new school year. Again, it can be all the ups and downs and curveballs can come along the way, especially when you're making changes or a curriculum is not working for you. I mentioned a few months ago in one of my videos when we were changing my first grader's curriculum, how our homeschool atmosphere and environment just completely changed once we found a curriculum that worked for our family instead of us having to work with a curriculum when it just wasn't serving us anymore. That was a huge part, and I think starting the new school year here in January, oh my goodness, starting the new school year, it just started out very beautifully. And I also think a big part of that is we only took a week off for Christmas break. So it wasn't enough time to fall out of routine and rhythm, but it was enough time to really enjoy the Christmas season and to slow down a little bit. So that was kind of how our year started. Again, very thankful for that. And I do attribute that to our curriculum changes and just providing a very rich atmosphere for our home and our homeschool. A couple of things that we have added in, or not necessarily changed per se, but we did add in. And my, oh my goodness, she's fake coughing over here. And then we did put my second grader into the McGuffies as well. He's doing the first reader. He's halfway through and is absolutely loving it. He enjoys doing it with his sister. I think he realized how much fun it was when his sister was doing the lesson book and then her reader, and he loved the shortness of the lessons. So we ended up taking his CLE reading, we put that on pause, and we're putting him in the McGuffies, which is actually right here. So he's been loving that and really appreciating just the shorter lessons, but also it's still very impactful. He loves the stories. He loves the high character stories. He loves it when they are praising and worshiping the Lord for his creation and the stories. That has been a huge blessing for our family, and he still is doing the CLE language arts and the CLE math. Another curriculum change, I don't know if I've talked about this yet, it was my first grade math. So we ended up switching her from CLE's math. We switched her to, I think, Math with Confidence grade 1. And it worked to some extent. So what happened was we were using CLE math for most of the year, and then we switched her to another curriculum to see if maybe that would like help her enjoy it more or something like that. And long story short, after a few weeks of using it, we just went back to CLE. I love CLE math. It is incredibly sound, and we have learned that even though the lessons are long, to just cut back. I'm not worried about finishing the whole grade within a year. We are just taking it a little bit more slowly because there's so much practice within the curriculum and the lessons, and I know that's not for everybody as far as being workbook heavy, but I'm only having her do maybe a page. Yes, honey. A page to a page and a half a day instead of a whole lesson. That's very less overwhelming. She's still done with school in probably half an hour, 45 minutes by the time we get everything done, which is incredible to me, but she's growing so beautifully in just all the different language arts aspects and just reading, and I've just been loving seeing her bloom and grow. But yeah, that was it. Math has been an interesting one, and I feel like math in our homeschool in particular, I just need to stick to what I know works for us and stop trying to find something else. I think what helped with her is when we were doing Math with Confidence, we were doing a lot of the games and the hands-on activities, and I think that really kind of cemented the concepts and ideas in her head. So then when we went back to CLE, those ideas were great and she picked up right where she left off and breezed through it. So I think that was a huge contributing factor to her enjoyment now of doing more CLE type math, and the fact that even though we did enjoy doing all the games and activities that the Math with Confidence did provide, for her, she also wasn't a huge fan of doing all of like the counter work and things like that. But so I have pros and cons of that curriculum. It did work for us for a little bit, but we ended up just solidifying her principles with all the games and activities. And I am going to actually keep the book because only maybe a third of it is used, because she was flying through it. She wanted to do more than 1 page a day because the concepts when she started the book, she had already mastered with CLE. So it was kind of a trade-off where I'm really glad that we supplemented with Math with Confidence, because that gave me a structure and a guide to kind of bring her back up to where we need to be to continue in CLE, if that makes any sense. Another thing that I did get from my first grader was momdelights.com. I always forget her name, and I feel so bad when I forget her name. I'll have a link down below so you can take a look at it, but I did get splendid spelling, and I will be doing a flip through video on that as well to add in for my first grader. And just in all transparency, I got it, I looked at it, I loved it. We have not implemented it yet because the McGuffey Readers, I love kind of creating my own custom spelling page based on what my kiddos are actually needing help with when it comes to their spelling. So yes, all that to say is I have it, I've looked at it, I love it. I have not found it to be a necessity yet, only because of the way we've kind of been incorporating our own spelling list into the McGuffies. But I will do a designated spelling video because I also wanted to show you guys the actual progressive speller from McGuffies as well, because that's incredible. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is, after my first and second grader get to a certain point in their reading, where once they are reading incredibly fluent, which my second grader is such a good reader, he really, really is. So once they get to a certain point where they need more help, oh, do you need water? 1 second. Anyway, once they get to the point where they're ready to actually learn spelling, and the reason why I wanted to hold off on doing the actual formal spelling and just do a customized list based on what they're ready for is I really wanted them to work on their reading fluency, because I feel like reading really is the key to learning how to spell, because without, you know, reading the words and seeing the words, they're really not going to know like what the word looks like, or how to use that word in a sentence, so on and so forth. So I'm really going to wait until they get maybe to a third grade level, and then once we get to that point, we're going to see where they are with their spelling, because as of right now, they're doing really well with spelling, because all the words that I do ask them to orally repeat back to me, they get pretty much 99% of the time. So I'm very proud of the fact that the readers are doing a good job, but it's also contributing to the fact that they are fluently reading now, so they can picture what the words look like in their head. So I honestly feel like with spelling, one of the most important parts, or the missing aspects of spelling, is that fluency in reading. That's really going to tie all that together. So another thing that I'm really happy that we've been doing consistently is actually averaging 5 days a week now for our homeschool. And again, I do contribute that to just it being a very enjoyable thing. It's something we look forward to doing. It's something, because it doesn't take as long to do, it's one of those things where all of our homework is done, all of our read alouds are done. I say read all the read alouds because we read throughout the day, but our main storybook read aloud is done under an hour and a half, and that's it. Like, that's all it takes for everyone to get their homework done, and then we move on with the rest of our day. So we are pretty much 100% always done before lunch now, which is great. Do we need a towel? Let's get a towel. So yes, our homeschool has been going very, very well. I'm going to kind of transition now from our homeschool life into just some of our like family life and personal stuff, and yeah, everything else that's been going on in January. To start off with, because I'm kind of like phasing out of the homeschool chat here, I wanted to talk about this room behind me. That was another big thing that happened in January. This room back here has been so many different things. We bought this house probably, I think, 5 years ago now. It's an old house, and if you guys have been around for a while, you know that when we started doing homeschooling out here, before this was a schoolroom, we turned it into like a little play area for the kids, and then we put windows in it so it could actually be like weather tight and not just like a seasonal back porch. The previous owners ended up turning it into like an enclosed area, but they did not do it correctly. So now we're, dealing with all the issues that comes with, water damage and things like that. So we have actually had to completely tear this space out. So it is no longer our schoolroom, which kind of brings brings me into the next part of what we've been up to is I kind of been taking, actually, you know what, let me grab the camera really quick and let me show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, this was our used to be homeschool space. As you can tell, it is no longer really any space. It's being completely torn apart. He's already started taking off like the paneling that used to be on the wall. The previous owners, I believe, put paneling on one wall, drywall on another wall. So he's just gonna tear the whole thing out. And then this whole space, I think we're actually gonna eventually, once we're gonna be redoing again, insulating the whole place, redoing the walls, redoing the flooring, redoing the windows again, because everything has to come out because of the water damage. So yeah, all the flooring is already gone. If you can't tell, it's all just like the concrete slab now. So we're gonna be working from scratch. But the good thing is that we did find out what was the issue as far as like where the water is coming in, everything that needs to be done before we can get it to be a usable space. Anyway, I'm gonna grab the camera because it's cold out here and we'll go back in there. I wanted to talk to you guys about that particular project, the room behind me, because it has made me have to go through really our entire house and simplify everything. This room out here is actually very, very large, and within that room we had our play area, we had our school space, but I also had just a lot of school storage out there as well that we just lost all that storage and all the space out there that this room did provide. So I'm very thankful for this space, and I am so excited when we go through the project this summer of getting it back up and going. However, the reason why I'm saying this is we're actually not going to be turning it back into our school area or play area or anything like that. We're turning it into a large bedroom for my 3 girlies to share. So I'm really excited to be able to have the space to reconfigure kind of their organization, what their needs are, to have a big space for them to where I can organize everything. We have room for everything that we need to have room for and things like that. So our whole house is going to kind of be switched around again. It's switched around so many times since we bought it, but I love it, and I love making changes that better serve our family. So with all that being said, for now anyway, not going to be having an actual designated space for schooling, which then brings me back to what I was saying at the beginning of this little section here of really having to simplify everything, because we again had to take everything in here and find a home for it and a space for it. And I did not want to buy a single thing when it came to organizing things. I wanted to use what we had, make it work, and anything that was either in excess or things that was either providing clutter or just taking away from the atmosphere of our home, we decluttered. So that's been a huge project for us this past, really the past couple of weeks, is my husband and I spent a whole day with our little people going from room to room, deciding what we needed, what we didn't need, and just decluttered everything. So I'm going to be doing a whole kind of homeschooling without a homeschool room house tour in a little bit, because our homeschool space is kind of now within pretty much every area of our home. Anywhere from this hutch here, I have school supplies, McGuffey readers, everything like that, activities. I have the other hutch that was actually in this room I have over there, and it also has like all my school stuff in it as well. So I'm going to show you guys kind of what we've kept, the categories that I've kind of organized within our home, so you guys can see how we've organized everything with no longer having an organized space to use. So anyway, yeah, that's been a big thing this past couple of weeks, is just kind of redoing our whole home again. And I honestly like it because it provides a sense of like, I don't know, like a refresh, and it was a good timing because it was the beginning of the year. And even though it was a disappointing thing to have to kind of tear this room apart, it's going to be wonderful because we're going to be able to use it, which is going to serve our family much better, is turning that into a fully finished, nice bedroom. So another thing that we're trying to be intentional about, and I don't remember if my husband and I mentioned this when we were talking about our 2024 goals. A lot of the times when it comes to our family vision or things that we want in our home, those are just things that we talk about on such a regular basis that it's not any standalone thing. It's just like those little things that we implement. If that makes any sense at all, like they're just a regular part of our conversation. So I don't feel like I don't know. Anyway, we might not have talked about this in that video, but one of the things that we want to be intentional about doing with our children specifically this year is really that teaching them how to pray for others, taking prayer requests and being really intentional about praying for people in our life. So if there is anything at all that you guys need prayer for, if you are going through any sicknesses, I know right now we are in the middle of a very heavy sickness season right now. My mom just is kind of coming out of a very incredibly difficult season of having RSV, and it's just like there's so much of that going around right now. So if you are experiencing any of that, please let me know down below, because something that we again are being intentional with is teaching our children how to pray specifically with specific prayer requests. So if you do have any requests, leave them down below. We would love and be honored to pray for you through life's challenges, as a way, honestly, of teaching really our children to seek the Lord on behalf of other people as well. I think there's a lot of value in saying like, oh, let me pray for you, and asking someone if they can pray for you, but intentionally really doing it. We have a little notebook, and so we've been taking prayer requests in our little notebook, and as we either hear about family members being sick or friends being sick or having different struggles and stuff, we've been able to kind of add to that prayer book and really intentionally pour into our children prayerful, like with their prayer lives. There's so much value in doing that, and speaking to the Lord throughout the day. There's something also powerful by opening that book, and then as people get better, as people recover, as issues become healed, as the Lord heals people, we're able to look back, and they've been putting little heart stickers over the prayers that have answered so far, and teaching them as well that if prayers don't get answered right away, that God is still good, and if he chooses not to answer, he is still good, and we should always continue praying for that, because we should never cease in praying for those prayer requests. So anyway, with all that being said, if you have any prayer requests, please leave them down below, or send me a message on Instagram if you don't want to put it down there, and we'd love to pray for you. So the last thing I wanted to mention here as far as January, and this is for me personally, kind of something that I came across that really needed my attention, and well, not really attention per se, but really made me think about needing to step back from YouTube for that few weeks that I took off of filming, just to really seek the Lord and his direction, what he has for our family, what he has for me as a mama homemaker. Anyway, I came across this post, I think it was like Ashley from, I want to say Grace and Grit. She's another YouTube mama. I've been following her for years. She is incredibly inspirational to me. She homeschools. All of her kiddos are in like that middle high school age range. So, and she has 4 kiddos as well. So I always look up to her in the realm like, this is what, you know, my homeschool could look like as a family with like 4 older kids. And so I always like finding YouTube mamas that are homeschooling older children, because it inspires me on what our homeschool could look like, and it inspires me to either make different changes in our home to where we are on track, you know, to when we get to those high school years and what we could do and the friendships that you can have with your children. And I really enjoy her channel. But she had a post, and she was talking about homeschooling, and she was talking about, you know, priorities, and you know, is homeschooling the first thing, like the first priority, or is it the last thing you try to do? And the whole post had to do with like homeschooling and homemaking and making sure the priorities were straight. And I remember reading it, and I wish I had my phone with me. I think it's like, I don't know. Anyway, I remember reading it and thinking, you know, I really need to step back and reprioritize and kind of redo my focus when it comes to my homeschool. Because I know a lot of the times we might not think that anything is sneaking in to take priority, but they really are. And it could be something so simple. It could even be maybe, I don't know, like for me this month, I almost felt like the whole decluttering thing was kind of stepping in and making it a priority over homeschool, even though yes, all those things need to get done, the things did need to get reorganized, it still was not above the actual homeschooling morning. And so really honing in on what it was that I thought was more important, or eliminating things that I thought was more important. And so for me, a huge part of that was taking a step back from YouTube for a few weeks and really realizing, okay, filming is not a priority, editing is not a priority, this is not a priority. So really focusing on, yeah, just homeschooling and being with the kiddos and like slowing down a little bit. And I say slowing down because we had our room here that everything had to be taken out. So it's still very, very busy, but I would not have been able to handle all of that with trying to get videos out and edited. So I'm always kind of amazed, you know, when things happen in life, and it doesn't matter if it's ups or downs and things like that. The Lord's timing is always like, he gives us things and puts things on our heart because he knows we're going to be taking changes. And even though it's something so simple as not filming, because I knew I wouldn't have the time because of this issue, it was just a beautiful timing as far as thing. And it was such a refreshing few weeks to really look back and, yeah, I guess reprioritize everything as far as making sure that my homeschool and my children remain the top priority. So it was kind of the thought process behind taking a few weeks off. Anyway, with all that being said, I am just incredibly thankful for just all the God's perfect timing in every single detail and aspect of our life, and things that He's given us that we might not have thought we needed, but we do need. And yeah, I think that's everything. We are going to be, again, trying to film that church video that we really want to sit down and be able to do. Until then, I'm going to be doing some other videos to fill in space and stuff until we're able to do that. But thank you guys again for being here. So excited to be back. And until my next one, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and God bless. Bye.